Hey, welcome to Tabletop Skirmish Games. I'm Lee, and in this video we'll be taking a deep dive into the SANCROSANCT chamber of the Stormcast Eternals. There are loads of miniatures available for the Stormcast Eternals in Warcry, and they're split into three chambers: the Sacrosanct, the Vanguard and the Warrior chamber. In this video we'll concentrate on the Sacrosanct chamber, but I'll also be doing future videos for the Warrior chamber and also for the Vanguard auxiliary chamber. In this video we'll use the Warcry Sentinels of Order supplement book as our guide, and we'll go through the Stormcast Eternal section to find out why they're in the 8 points and how they fit into Warcry. We'll also look at the Sacrosanct chamber fighter cards and the fighter and leader abilities for the Sacrosanct chamber, and I'll also show you how you can get the miniatures and which sets they come from on the Games Workshop website. The Sacrosanct chamber's got some great looking models, and if you're into Stormcast Eternal there's a good chance you've got a lot of them already, but if not, a great option for you to pick up a great selection of this particular chamber is to pick up the Warhammer Age of Sigmar Soul War set. And it's £95, but it's packed with miniatures. You're going to get 19 push-fit Stormcast Eternals, and that's going to include the Lord Arcanum on a Griff Charger, a Knight Incanter, Evocators, Castigators and Sequitors, and even a Ballista, and you're going to get loads of miniatures to make, you know, a number of warbands, not just one. You're probably going to make about 4 or 5 out of this, and it gives you lots of variety. And on top of that, though, for that price, you're also going to get all these Nighthawk models. So if this is something you're looking at starting, I'd really recommend this set. But there's also an option to get the Mortal Realms supplement, and it's already started, but you can pick up some back orders. And I've done a video on this if you want to check that out, and that tells you where to find the available back orders and how to get started. But again, this is packed with a lot of models, specifically a lot of the Sacrosanct chamber. So this might be a good option too. You also get some terrain, and that includes some of the terrain that was included in the original Warcry starter set. So this is a good way to get those bits of terrain you may have missed out on if you started late like I did. Right, let's get started, but before we go through all the fighter types and their abilities, let's find out a little bit about what the Stormcast Eternals are doing in the 8 points and how they fit into Warcry. And if you don't already, the Stormcast Eternals are organised into storm hosts, and those storm hosts are further subdivided into chambers. The Sacrosanct chamber is really cool, and they contain potent storm mages who once guarded the anvil of Apotheos itself. Since the dawning of the Arcanum Optima, these mystic warriors have been sent out into the realms to fight back against the tide of untrammelled magic. The Stormcast Eternals were created to undertake the most gruelling of trials, to accomplish those feats that mere mortals simply could not. Their deeds are legendary, and tales of their holy might are preached in the great temples of the God King's empire. Sigmar dispatches his warriors to the Bloodwind spoil for all manner of reasons. Often, the chamber from which the warband in question hails will define its goals. To the Sacrosanct chamber falls arguably the most vital duty of all. It's their responsibility to search for a means of banishing the flaws in the reforging process. The lands of the Varanspire conceal many secrets lost to time, and such is Sigmar's determination that no stone, even those in Archaon's domain, can be allowed to remain unturned. So do the arcane warriors of the Sacrosanct chamber brave those lands willingly, risking an eternity of suffering and damnation to see their divine master's will done. That's our introduction to the Sacrosanct chamber, and that gives us a little idea of why they're in the 8 points and what they're up to. So now let's take a look at all the fighter cards and the abilities, and let's start with the fighter ability that every fighter or leader is going to get. And the Sacrosanct chamber rune mark is this like lightning strike, and so they're all going to have that as part of the chamber, and so they're all going to be able to use this double ability called Channeled Empowerment. Until the end of this fighter's activation, add the value of this ability to the strength characteristic of the next attack action made by this fighter that has a range characteristic of 3 or less. This one's worded a little tricky. It says, so until the end of the activation, add the value of this ability to the strength characteristic of the next action. So I'm not sure if this just means that you can only use it in one attack action, but it does say until the end of the fighter's activation. So I'm going to presume we can use this for both attack actions. But you're going to see as we go through the different fighters that these are pretty strong already. So adding the value of the ability to their strength characteristic is making them crazy strong, but they've got to have a range of 3 or less, which a lot of them do. A lot of their weapons are in this chamber, so that's going to apply to them, but it's really going to make them strong. And so going up against the bigger, tougher models, they're just going to really have a great chance of doing some damage. So that's the fighter ability that every model we go through in this chamber is going to be able to use. Next, we've got the leader ability, and again, every leader in the Sacrosanct chamber can use this ability, and this is a double called Cleanse the Realms of Taint. A fighter can use this ability only if an enemy fighter has been taken down by an attack action made by them this activation. This fighter makes a bonus move action or a bonus attack action. So there's a really good chance that our leaders are going to take down some of the enemy fighters. For sure. I mean, you're not going to get an awful lot of fighters in your warband, so your leader's really going to be stuck in amongst the action, doing damage, taking fighters out. And as long as they do that, they can get a bonus move or attack action. So that's really great for a double, and this is the only leader ability that all the leaders can use. Right, now let's get started on our first fighter, and this is our first leader as well, the LORD-EXORCIST, and he's coming in at 260 points. He's got a movement 4, toughness 5, can take a huge amount of wounds at 32. He's got the Sacrosanct Chamber rune mark, the leader rune mark, and one other for an ability we haven't seen yet. He's got 2 weapons. The first one is a minimum range of 3, maximum range of 7, making 2 attacks, strength 4, dealing 3 to 6 on a crit. And if you get close enough, he's got another weapon range of 2, which is 4 attacks, strength 4, dealing 2 to 4 on a crit. So we're kicking things off with a pretty powerful model here, but he's not our most powerful, and he's not our highest value points wise either. But it's a good start, great looking model, and I'll explain where you can find this model once we've gone through his ability. So he's got this kind of flaming skull rune mark, and that means he could also use this triple ability called Shatter Spirit Flask. Allocate a number of damage points equal to the value of this ability to all visible fighters within 3 inches of this fighter, including the fighter using this ability. Oh, so this is interesting. So now this includes the fighter using the ability, but any fighter, friendly or enemy, within 3 inches of this fighter is going to get those damage points allocated to them equal to the value of the ability. So this is pretty cool. If they're in a tight spot and they want to punish the enemy, you know, he's got a lot of wounds at 32, and a lot of the fighters come with a lot of wounds in the Sacrosanct Chamber. So this could be a really cool ability, almost like a grenade. He's throwing it down, big explosion, and he's going to do some damage to everyone around him. It took me a while to find this fighter and this miniature on the Games Workshop website, and I had to look around online at some Reddit articles to find him. But he does come with this set, the LORD-EXORCIST on Taureton, and this guy is included as a stand-up figure, or he can be sat on the back. So this is where you get this figure from, but it is going to cost £70, so it's quite expensive for a model like this. So if you wanted to use this, you could obviously proxy it for something that looked the same or similar with similar weapons, but otherwise you're going to have to shell out and get that big model. Our next leader is the LORD-EXORCIST on Celestial DRACOLINE, and this one now is a huge 320 points, and this is the highest point value for a fighter in this Sacrosanct Chamber. And for that, you're going to get a movement 10, you're going to get a toughness of 5, and you're going to be able to take 40 wounds, so that's huge. We've got the leader rune mark, the Sacrosanct Chamber rune mark, we got the beast rune mark, and we got the flaming skull rune mark. Notice this isn't classed as a mounted fighter either, so you're not going to get those restrictions from using this model. So this is really good. And he's got 2 weapons. The first one is a minimum range 3, maximum 7. We're going to be making 2 attacks, strength 4, dealing 3 to 6 on a crit. And then the second weapon is a range of 1, and this is the beast. So this is the Celestial DRACOLINE now. He's going to claw or peck away at you. He's going to make 4 attacks, strength 4, dealing 2 to 5 on a crit. So both those weapon options are pretty tough, really strong. The first one, you can do a bit of damage with that at 3 to 6 for sure, but I think I like the second option where you've got to be up close and personal, but you get 4 attacks, strength 4, dealing 2 to 5. I think that's really good. So a really interesting miniature, but let's check out the abilities. And we've seen the Flaming Skull already, which is the Shatter Spirit Flask. He's also got the 2 we went through earlier on, but let's find out what this other ability is going to give him. And this other ability is a triple called Darting Attack. This fighter makes a bonus attack action. Then they can make a bonus disengage action. So this is a really nice ability for a triple. We get that bonus attack action, but then they can pull back from the enemy if they wanted to. So if you wanted to get up close to use that powerful range 1 weapon of the Celestial Dracoline, attack, then disengage and move back using that distance movement of 10, then that's certainly a tactic you could employ with this guy and maintain in those 40 wounds right till the end of the battle if you wanted to. It's pretty difficult to track this guy down too, but I think it's from the Stormcast Eternals Evocators on Celestial Dracolines, and it says here that one of the models can be assembled as a Lord Arcanum with a specific head, but when I looked through all the images I couldn't find that head, so the 2 on the left are the only ones I could find on that listing on the website, but the card and a picture of the Lord Arcanum on Celestial Dracoline looks like the image on the right with the green circle. So if you know definitely where I can find this model, it'd be great if you could add it in the comments section below. That'd be awesome, thanks. Now we're on to our third leader, the Lord Arcanum on Gryph-Charger. And this is a great looking model. I really like this one. And this is coming in at 300 points. Got a movement 10, toughness 5, can take 38 wounds. Got the leader rune mark, the Flaming Skull rune mark, what we've seen. And it's also got the mounted rune mark this time. So he's going to get some limitations on kind of how you can use him in the battle. Can't go through doorways and things like that. But weapon wise, we got 2. The first one is exactly the same as the Lord Arcanum on a Celestial Dracoline, so that's the same, but he's got another choice which is with his like mace, if you like, and so it's a range of 2, can make 4 attacks, strength 4, dealing 2 to 4 on a crit. So not putting out as much damage up close as the previous model we saw, but still for 300 points we get a nice amount of movement, we can take a huge amount of wounds, and yeah, there's a lot going on here weapons wise with some great tactics, so I really like that. And abilities we've seen already, it's that Flaming Skull, Shatter Spirit Flask, and also he's going to get the ones we saw at the earlier part of the video. Again, trying to find this one was pretty tricky to get the actual model, but then I saw it in the Age of Sigmar Soul Wars box set. So if you know, again, if there's somewhere else you can get this, then please let me know. It'd be great to hear. Then now we're on to our next fighter, the LORD-EXORCIST. I really like this one. He looks really cool. 250 points. He's got a movement 4. Again, that toughness is high at 5. Can take 32 wounds. We've got the leader rune mark and one other that we haven't seen yet. So we're going to get a new ability now. His weapon, the first one is a ranged weapon. Exactly the same as the previous 2 leaders we've just saw. But he's got a little bit of a different weapon stats for the next one. So that's a range of 2, 3 attacks, strength 4, dealing 2 to 4 on a crit. So this guy's a lot lower point value, so he's not mounted on a beast, and he's not putting out as much damage with that second weapon. But let's see what his ability is next. And this is a quad called Open Redemption Cake. Allocate a number of damage points equal to the value of this ability to all visible enemy fighters within 3 inches of this fighter. So this is great. Very similar to that Shatter Spirit Flask, but now it's just for the enemy fighters. So this won't apply to the friendly fighters or to the actual fighter using the ability this time. So for a quad, we can simply allocate a number of damage points equal to the value of the ability. So that's really great, really powerful. Again, get him in amongst it. He can take some damage, so you can certainly get him in amongst the enemy fighters and then simply allocate that number of damage points to them. And that's a huge ability and a great quad. This model is really easy to find on the Games Workshop website, and I believe you can also pick this up with the Mortal Realms subscription. And now that brings us on to the next leader, the Lord-Ordinator with Astral Grandhammer, and at 245 points, got a movement 4, toughness 5, can take 32 wounds, got the leader rune mark, and 1 rune mark for another leader ability we haven't seen yet. For the weapon, it's a range of 2, 3 attacks, strength 5, dealing 3 to 5 on a crit, and another great looking model, something a bit like I don't know, reminds me a little bit of a Viking vibe from it. I'm not sure, really. I guess it's the kind of hammer and the big beard, but looking great. But let's see what this new ability is. And this is a double called Meteoric Slam. Until the end of this fighter's activation, add 1 to the attacks and strength characteristics of attack actions made by this fighter that have a range characteristic of 3 or less. So he can certainly use it with his range characteristic of 2 and simply add 1 to attack and strength characteristic until the end of the activation. So if you want to make 2 attack actions during this activation, you can certainly do that. And man, you can, if you get a 5 or 6, this is going to be a huge ability doing a huge amount of damage. So really great fighter. And this one, again, really easy to find on the Games Workshop website. Just put in Lord Ordinator and you'll find him. And now we've got a similar model, another Viking vibe with these hammers. And this is a Lord Ordinator with paired Astral Hammers at 245 points. We've got the same movement, toughness and amount of wounds, the same abilities, but this is a weapon range of 1, 4 attacks, strength 5, dealing 2 to 5 on a crit. So we've got that extra attack here, because we've also lost a bit in range. Again, can do some serious damage. And with that Meteoric Slam, this guy's a beast, and I'd really like to include one of these in the Warband. Again, really easy to find. Just type it in, Lord Ordinator Vorus Starstrike, and you can find that on the website. And now that brings us to the next leader, a Knight Incantor, and at 245 points, we're going to get movement 4, toughness 5, and take 30 wounds. We've got the Screamer's Skull Rumark, which we've already seen, and 2 weapon options. The first one is a minimum range 3, maximum 7, making 2 attacks, strength 4, dealing 3 to 6 on a crit. And then the next weapon we can get up closer. So this is a maximum range of 2, making 3 attacks, strength 4, dealing 2 to 4 on a crit. Another great looking model, and this can put out a fair bit of damage too. And then the ability we've seen, it's that triple Shatter Spirit Flask, and also the 2 we went through at the beginning of the video. And you can find this particular model in the Soul Wars box set, so I couldn't find it anywhere else, but you can get it in there. And now we're on to a very similar one, EVOCATOR-PRIME with GRANDSTAVE, and this is 240 points. Got the same movement, toughness and wounds, but we've got a different Rumark. We've got the Mystic Rumark now, so that's a new ability we haven't seen yet. And this weapon is a maximum range 2, making 4 attacks, strength 5, dealing 2 to 5 on a crit. So you can see these are really strong, all of these, and they can certainly take a lot of wounds, and they're really tough. So they're going to be hard to beat, and they can certainly put some damage out too. But let's check out what this new Mystic ability is. Although this is a EVOCATOR-PRIME is a leader, this ability is a regular fighter ability, and it's a double called Summon Celestial Lightning. Pick a visible enemy fighter within 1 inch of this fighter and roll a number of dice equal to the value of this ability. For each 4+, allocate 1 damage point to that enemy fighter. So we're not going to do a huge amount of damage here, and really to make this pay off, you've got to get a 5 or 6, I think, for the ability value. But for a double, pretty good. Get some sneaky damage points on the enemy, and I think that's a pretty cool ability. And you can find this one in the Evocators box set, which is £35. And now we're on to this guy, who's the EVOCATOR, or girl, I'm not quite sure from that picture, EVOCATOR-PRIME with Tempest Blade and Stormcast. And this one is 240 points. Again, we got the same movement, wounds, and toughness, same abilities, but there's a little bit of difference in the weapon stats. Here now we've got a weapon range of 1, making 5 attacks, strength 5, dealing 2 to 4 on a crit. So I really like that 5 attacks at strength 5, dealing 2 to 4. That's really cool. So a lot of damage can be put out with that for sure. And then on top of that, with that Summon Celestial Lightning ability, this is a tough customer, and you can pick this one up in that Evocators box set as well. So a nice bit of variety in there. You get 2 leaders in that box set. And that brings us on to another EVOCATOR-PRIME, but this time they're on a Celestial DRACOLINE with a GRANDSTAVE. These are some tongue-twisting names for sure, and I bet I'm butchering them, but let's keep going. So this one's at 295 points, got a movement 10, toughness 5, can take 35 wounds. We've got the Leader Rumark, the Beast Rumark, and the Mystic Rumark, and we know it's not mounted Rumark there, so this is great. I really like that they're not mounted, these ones. And for the weapon, it's a range of 2, 3 attacks, strength 5, dealing 3 to 6 on a crit. So we can put a little bit of damage out there. That's not bad. 3 attacks isn't brilliant, but still at strength 5, 3 to 6 on a crit is great. But it's that movement that really appeals to me. You can really get around the battlefield there. And being able to use that double summon Celestial Lightning, that's a nice ability. But then don't forget, we've also got that other one, the darting attack, and this is a great one for a triple. I really like that. And if you want to buy this model, then you can get it in a pack of 3 for £35, and there's the details there on the screen. And from that pack, we can make another leader again. This time it's the EVOCATOR-PRIME on Celestial Dracoline with Tempest Blade and Stormcast. And here at 285 points is 10 points lower than the previous one, but we get the same movement, wounds and toughness, same abilities, but with the weapon it's a range of 1, making 4 attacks, strength 5, dealing 2 to 5 on a crit. So 10 points less. The difference we get really here is the range is 1 inch less. We can make an extra attack though. The strength is the same, but the damage output is not as much. So instead of being 3 to 6, it's 2 to 5. But we get exactly the same abilities, so I'd almost prefer this on the previous one. You know, we get those same 2 abilities, and if you pick that setup, you can get them both from there anyway, and so you don't have to choose between them. So this is a great couple of options there. You could have one as the leader, one as a hero perhaps. Now we've got another leader. This time it's the Castigator-PRIME at 255 points. We've got the movement 4, that toughness is high again 5 and can take 30 wounds. Got the leader rune mark and a rune mark for an ability we haven't seen yet. We've got 2 weapon options. First is a ranged weapon, minimum 3, maximum 15, making 3 attacks, strength 5, dealing 2 to 4 on a crit. Brilliant stats for a ranged weapon, but if he gets up close, he can punch them or hit them with his bow, and it's a range of 1, making 4 attacks, strength 4, dealing 1 to 4 on a crit. So that ranged weapon is the key here. That guy's going to do some damage with that for sure. Can keep his distance, maintain those wounds, those hit points. But even if he does get amongst it, he's really tough at 5, doing some serious damage. But let's have a look at his ability. And this is a triple called Burst of Celestial Lightning. And again, he's a leader, but this is a regular fighter ability. For this, we add half the value of this ability, rounding up to the damage points allocated by both each hit or critical hit from the next attack action made by this fighter, this activation, that targets an enemy fighter more than 3 inches away. So this is encouraging us or making us to use that ranged weapon for sure. And a brilliant ability, you can add half the value of it. So if it's a 5 or 6, we're going to round that up to 3. And we can add that to damage points of every hit or critical hit. So that's really great, but it is only for the next attack action in our activation. The Castigator-PRIME is available in this brilliant set. For £10, you get these Castigators with Gryph-hound. You get 4 miniatures altogether. So if we compare that to the prices of the miniatures we've seen beforehand, then wow, it's a big difference. And yeah, these are easy to build, but I think they look awesome. The base is already moulded for you and ready to go, easy to assemble. Once they're painted, I don't think there's a huge difference between the standard. I think they're great value at £10 and can highly recommend picking these up. We've now covered 12 leaders, but we've got another 3 leaders to choose from the SANCROSANCT chamber. So this is great. So this next guy is a SEQUITOR-PRIME with Tempest Blade and SOULSHIELD. And this is 245 points, got movement 4, toughness 6 now. This is massive, can take 30 wounds. The weapon is a range of 1, making 4 attacks, strength 4, dealing 2 to 4 on a crit. We've got the leader rune mark, and I think this is the bulwark rune mark, which we haven't seen the ability for yet. So let's take a look at that now. But wow, that toughness is crazy at 6. But this ability is a triple called SOULSHIELD Channeling, and this is a fighter ability, and until the end of the battle round, add the value of this ability to the toughness characteristic of this fighter. So wow, it's already 6, which I haven't seen many fighters or leaders with a toughness of 6. But now we can add the whole value of our ability to the toughness of this fighter with this triple, and that's until the end of the battle round. So that's crazy. Even when he's finished his activation, that toughness still applies. And how are you going to damage him? It's going to be really difficult. So a great ability there. And if you want to use this exact miniature, then you can find it in the SEQUITOR set for £37.50. But I think you could easily proxy another miniature for this one for sure. And now we're on to our next leader. This is another leader, leader number 14, the SEQUITOR-PRIME, with Storm Smite Maul and Soul Shield. And at 240 points, we get a movement 4, toughness 6 again, can take 30 wounds. Got the same abilities we've just seen, and with a weapon range of 1, we can now make 3 attacks, strength 5, dealing 2 to 4 on a crit. So if you want a tough leader, these are going to be the ones for you with that toughness 6 and that ability, that soul shield channeling to increase that with a triple. That's crazy. So, and if you want to find this miniature, this is in another easy to build set of the easy to build Sequitors, and for £10 you get 3 awesome miniatures, and you don't have to spend like a ton of money to get like a set of 10 when you'd only really maybe even want 1 or 2. So this could be a great option. Again, I'm a big fan of these easy to build sets, especially for the Stormcast Eternals. And now this brings us to our final leader, the 15th leader, which is SEQUITOR-PRIME with Redemption Cake or Cake Cash. And this lady comes in at 245 points with a movement 4, that toughness 6, can take 30 wounds. We've got the leader rune mark, bulwark rune mark, and 1 other rune mark. And the weapon on this is a range of 1, 3 attacks, strength 5, dealing 2 to 4 on a crit. And then the abilities for this, we've seen this soul shield channeling already, but they're also going to get another one, which is the leader ability now, that quad, that open redemption cage. So a couple of abilities there, and this one you can buy again. She's going to come in the Sequitor set, so this set gives you a lot of variety. You can pick a lot from this. Now we're on to EVOCATOR with GRANDSTAVE, and the points are starting to get lower now, 180 points. This is a regular fighter, no more leaders, and this is a movement 4, toughness 5, can take 20 wounds, pretty respectable for a 180 point miniature. And then we've got a weapon range of 2, can make 3 attacks, strength 5, dealing 2 to 5 on a crit. So for our first regular fighter at 180 points, you still get a lot here. They're tough, they're strong, they can put the damage out, and they can take it. And this one's going to get that normal leader, normal fighter ability, but also the double summon celestial lightning. And they're going to come in the Evocators pack for £35. In that same set, you're also going to get an Evocator with Tempest Blade and Stormstave. And again, this is 180 points. Got the same movement, wounds, and toughness. Got the same ability, but this one is a weapon range of 1, 4 attacks, strength 5, dealing 2 to 4 on a crit. So a little bit different. We also still get that double summon celestial lightning ability. So you get a couple of very similar fighters there. Next, we've got an Evocator on Celestial Dracoline with GRANDSTAVE, and at 260 points, we get that movement 10, toughness 5, can take 32 wounds. Got the Mystic rune mark and the Beast rune mark, and again, it's not classed as a mounted fighter, so this is brilliant. And the weapon range here is maximum 2, can make 3 attacks, strength 5, dealing 3 to 5 on a crit. So I really like these Dracolines. I mean, they're tough. They've got some great movement, they can take some damage, the abilities are pretty interesting, and they can put out some punishment too. So I think for 260 points, you get quite a lot with these, and I really like this set. They come in that set of 3, which we'll check again in a minute. But there's another option for an Evocator on Celestial Dracoline, but this time with a Tempest Blade and Stormstave. And this one's 250 points, a little bit less. We've got the same movement, toughness, and wounds, same abilities, but this is a weapon range 1, so we've got to get a bit closer, but we can make 4 attacks, strength 5, dealing 2 to 4 on a crit. So we can make extra attacks, but we might not do as much damage if they're successful. And with both of these, they've got the same abilities, so we're going to see the Mystic rune mark and the Beast rune mark, so that's going to give us the triple darting attack and the summon celestial lightning. And if you want to pick up these fighters, you can get them in that set of Dracolines, and that's also going to give you the leader as well in there. So I think this is a great looking set. But that brings us now to our Castigator, and at 195 points we get a movement 4, toughness 5, can take 20 wounds. And this is a Castigator has got 1 rune mark, so we've seen that ability already. Got 2 weapon options. First one is a minimum range 3, maximum 15, 3 attacks, strength 5, dealing 2 to 4 on a crit. And then we've also got another one, weapon range 1, 3 attacks, strength 4, dealing 1 to 4 on a crit. and that ability that we saw earlier is the Burst of Celestial Lightning. And if you want to pick up this miniature, then you can also get this one in that really great set, the easy to build Castigators with the Gryph-hound. So that's a good one to get. Now we're on to a SEQUITOR with Tempest Blade and SOULSHIELD. And this one's coming in at 180 points with a movement 4, that huge toughness 6, can take 20 wounds. We've got the rune mark, that bulwark rune mark we've already seen. And the weapon is a range of 1, making 3 attacks, strength 4, dealing 2 to 4 on a crit. And I really like this miniature actually. This sculpt is really great. Really looks like a knight, so really cool. And that ability is that SOULSHIELD channeling again, so really add into that toughness. I mean, that toughness is crazy at 6. And if you want to get this, you can buy it in the set of SEQUITORs, and I think this is one of those sets where you get a lot of variety. Next, we got another SEQUITOR, this time with a Storm Smite Maul and SOULSHIELD, and this is 180 points, movement 4, toughness 6, can take 20 wounds. We've got the rune mark we've seen, weapon range 1, 2 attacks, strength 5, dealing 2 to 4 on a crit. So pretty good again, tough. Not too many attacks this time though. And by the way, thanks for sticking with me if you're still here. This is a really long video. And now we're on to the ability, which is a triple SOULSHIELD channeling we've seen. And again, this guy is going to come from that set of SEQUITORs. Great looking set. Don't know if I'd buy this. I prefer the easy to build ones, certainly for the cost. We get another option of a SEQUITOR, this time with Storm Smite Great Mace at 180 points. We got that movement 4. Not as tough now, no shield with this one. So it's going to be a toughness 5. Taking 20 wounds, and he's got a weapon range of 2. He can make 3 attacks, strength 5, dealing 3 to 5 on a crit. So not as tough, but can put out a bit more damage. And he's got no extra abilities, so no rune marks there. And again, he comes in that set of SEQUITORs. Now we're on to the final fighter. We've nearly made it. It's the Gryph-hound at 150 points. Got a movement 6, toughness 4, and can take 20 wounds. This has got a weapon range of 1. It's going to claw and bite you with his beak. It's going to make 4 attacks, strength 4, dealing 2 to 4 on a crit. And I love the Gryph-hound. You've got to have a Gryph-hound in your warband. I think it's a great addition. Really fun. I think this is better for the Vanguard chamber though, I think, really. But you might want to put one in your Sacrosanct chamber too. But this one's going to get the quad Thunderous Pounce ability, and until the end of this fighter's activation, the next time this fighter finishes a move action within 1 inch of an enemy fighter, pick a visible enemy fighter within 1 inch of this fighter, allocate a number of damage points to that fighter equal to the value of this ability. So really nice for a quad. I mean, it's higher quad, but I think if you can go after someone, you want to take them out, this is a great ability and a great fighter to do that with. If you want to get some Gryph-hounds, you can get 6 for £17.50, but you can also get a Gryph-hound in the easy to build set for £10. And this set, again, really recommend it. You get a really nice selection there. That now brings us to the end of the Sacrosanct chamber with all the fighter cards that are included in the Warcry supplement book and their abilities. And so I've kind of had a little think about what I'd like to do for a warband using these. And I think I'd like to go with a Lord Arcanum on Celestial Dracoline with 2 other of the Dracolines. I think they're so good. I mean, they're not mounted, so they don't class as mounted. We've got that ability that comes with the Beast rune mark. We've got the 2 Mystic rune marks and that Flaming Skull. So you get lots of options there. They're really tough. And then we could throw in a Gryph-hound, total it up to 980 points. And I think that'd be really interesting to play, just to see what it'd be like to only have 4 fighters going in. I think it'd be quite interesting, and certainly to see those go up against something like the Seraphon with a big swarm of skinks, that'd be crazy. So yeah, that'd be interesting, I think, to put together. But there's a lot of options here, so I'd like to probably think about it a bit more, and I think you could certainly come up with a few different warbands out of this set. I'd love to hear what you think about the Sacrosanct chamber, so join in the comments below. It'd be great to hear from you, and I'll put some links in the description to Element Games where you can save up to 20% on all the products we've covered in this video, and for every sale made through a link I get a small commission, and that helps me develop the channel. So thanks for that support, and hopefully by using those links you can save some money too. If you like this kind of content and would like to support the channel, then please check out my Patreon page, and thanks to everyone who's joined so far. It's really awesome. We hang out on Discord, talk about the hobby, share ideas and help each other out, and you'll get some perks there that you're not going to find anywhere else. So I'll put a link in the description, and it'd be great to see you there. I hope you enjoyed the video, and wow, it was a long one. There was lots to go through there, and this is only the Sacrosanct chamber. We've still got the Vanguard and Warrior chambers to go, but it's great fun taking a deep dive into these different warbands, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I enjoy making it. But thanks so much for watching. Please like if you like it, subscribe for more videos like this, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to join me next time on Tabletop Skirmish Games.